So how does the average person like contact you?
Typically you would have a membership on any given number of sites, while more international.
Euphemistically, prostitution is referred to as the world's oldest occupation, and though the exact veracity of that statement is somewhat dubious, it certainly can be proven to be over 2,000 years old. From references in Hammurabi's Code, the first legal system sometimes referred to as eye for an eye, through biblical, Greek, Roman, Mughal, and Chinese imperial eras through to today. Like other vice crimes, there are nodding acceptances in art and media that reflect the social recognition of the practice. This time on TrueRVA, we will take a look at the form the sex industry has taken in response to these opposing forces of prohibitive law enforcement and massive popular demand.
In Virginia, prostitution is a criminal offense under Code 18.2-346 and is punishable as a Class 1 misdemeanor. The punishments for conviction for Class 1 misdemeanors is a confinement in jail for not more than 12 months and a fine of not more than $2,500. You can get either or both of these charges. Most people are unaware of the fact that for the offense of prostitution, the person who is alleged to have provided sexual favors in exchange for money, as well as the person who is the customer, are liable for criminal charges. Prostitution charges against a person can prove disastrous to one's personal life.
The site that you would be using wherever it is that you live, you're traveling for work, say traveling to Richmond. You can find girls in Richmond and read the reviews, and you pay a membership, and you also have okays from other providers on that site. So if you contact me, I can see that you are, however many girls have recommended you, if any, which typically you would have some.
So that's how you keep yourself safe, and how you maintain some sort of security, is making sure that other people have dealt with this guy before.
Yeah, I require that they are established, so they have some sort of base or following.
Unsurprisingly, the internet is involved. Sites like the notorious Backpage or the less commonly but well-known Eros Review offer pages and classified ads for providers and reviews for both providers and those seeking provision. So effectually, these sites and their services have supplanted the venerable pimp and his services. In fact, the abundancy of these sites indicates how large the market actually is. The market is so large that even individual tastes such as BDSM, the common abbreviation for bondage, dominance, submission, and masochism, can be accommodated.
So by fetishing like dom submission stuff?
No, and I was going to say that's why most people would jump to conclusions, is it fetishes solely BDSM?
No, it's just a popular one.
Yeah, but no, that's not at all. I think when people, they read your reviews and they see that you are legitimately open to, most things that are within certain, I won't do any kind of like mutilation. That's probably one of the weirdest things. And this was a few years ago when I first started. I did some domination with one particular guy, and he had his whole kit that he had brought with him. And I was fine with the, you have the humiliation, and sometimes that mental stuff, and it's not physical, just small dick humiliation. That can be really weird, because for an hour you're
just
sitting there. Exactly. And it can be fat. In some instances you don't know, it's like, this guy's totally fat, but like, do you want to call him like a fat pig? Like, is that, like...
Yeah, that's not may not be with his particular, like...
So there's certain things where you're like, okay, he wants to be you know, he is a fat pig, but maybe I shouldn't say people keep it on.
Well, that's not part of their fantasy. They have like most of those people who have fetishes have like, don't they have like scripts, you know, like they want you to do specific.
The humiliation is what I'm saying, but you know, it's more than just that, you know. Like I said, we brought out some different, about 6-inch needles, hollow needles, and wanted me to shove them up his dick. And I just thought, you know, he's gonna have to go to the hospital.
Right.
Like and he's like, no. And I was like, I'm not comfortable with this, you know.
Yeah, if you do that the wrong way,
Exactly.
There's a lot of blood vessels that go there. If you pierce them.
Absolutely.
So weirdest
documentary. He's like, you know, this. He's like, no, I do it to myself all the time, and I was like, I'm sure you do, but you know,
he's doing.
I'm not. I just wasn't gonna. Honestly, I'm kind of squeamish anyway, and I just didn't. That, you know, I drew the line at that one, but he was probably extremely happy that I had followed through with the other tasks.
Right.
I'm assuming a girl would charge you more if you were piss on her head.
A small variation. Recently, that's a big thing. Recently I had a guy want me to torture an insect, and
How is that sexual?
okay.
Like he wanted you to like smash the insect on his dick or something?
No, it wasn't. So sexual stuff isn't necessarily like about like.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Though. I don't understand the connection.
So
What did he want you to do?
he wanted me to put my feet on his face and pinch his nipples and tell him all this like stuff he wanted me to do to the bug. And it was palmetto bug, which palmetto bugs are pretty big. I still feel really guilty about this, but like I'm still feeling extremely guilty of.
Well, it's a bug. It's, you know, most of the like.
It looked at me and I felt bad. But it'd be one thing if I just smashed it, but like he might I cut its legs off and I don't know. But that was his thing, is he wanted me to, you know, torture this insect and then tell him like, oh, I'm gonna a sexy prostitute and torture this bug
You ever had somebody make a really strange request? Like something that like, for example, told us about some guy asking her to like crush bugs.
Yeah.
I don't even get how that's sexual.
I saw the same person, and like he wanted my feet in his face, like pushing his face and like shaking a bug and giving him a hand job all at the same time, and I was just like, this is really hard.
To coordinate, right? But really, the providers that we spoke to said that most of their clients weren't fetishists. Simply people looking for companionship. And what can be more human than looking for affection?
More like a therapy session than it is about the sex. I have a fair amount of regulars that I see where we've kind of developed a relationship and an understanding, and it's kind of like when you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend the first time you hook up. It's kind of awkward and weird, and then, you know, when you get to know each other and that sort of thing, it becomes less awkward and weird.
Outside of why the customers do this, after speaking with a number of the men and women who do this for a living, or some of them boys and girls really, we asked them why they do this. Because a large percentage of them were fairly intelligent and could doubtlessly have gotten a job somewhere else with less social censure and chance of getting arrested. And almost uniformly, the answer was addiction. There were some who said otherwise, but obviously they were either prevaricating or the exceptions to the rule. Given that, how does our community deal with these providers? Well, we'll tell you.
In a continuing attempt to use this model of enforcement to solve the social issue, laws and ordinances have gotten fairly absurd. exemplified by Richmond's recently updated 1994 cruising ordinance, which now prohibits motorists passing the same point more than 2 times in the same direction in a 3-hour period between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Signs indicate that this is an anti-cruising area. Richmond also employs target zones in places like Church Hill, where people convicted of prostitution-related crimes cannot go without courting another misdemeanor conviction. Does anyone pay attention to these zones? And has anyone been busted for cruising and thereafter sworn off prostitution forever? Again, the figures argue that the answer is clearly absolutely not, since the estimated percentage of population engaging in it has actually risen since they were applied. There have been some recent, more advanced and partially successful solutions like Henrico, Richmond, and Chesterfield, working with some of the Grey Haven Project, providing safe houses to rehab women involved in prostitution.
In the end, what's going on in Richmond is this. If you're a sex provider, male or female, you're likely to be doing it online using a system much like eBay's system of recommendation to kind of cut down on your exposure to enforcement. And even if you are caught and busted for it, you're likely to get a misdemeanor conviction, which if you're a first-time or even second-time offender, you can likely get pled down to community service and that sort of thing. Alternately, you're unlikely to be caught engaging in individual acts, but as part of a sting operation for which the community enforcement will grab a whole bunch of women and men all at once, because it makes so little sense to go after individuals for sort of a small-time crime. In our research, we found virtually no one who'd been arrested for prostitution individually. So if you're a provider, that's the deal. This system of donations and that sort of game isn't fooling anyone. On the other hand, if you're a member of the community actually concerned about the community, is this an effective solution? No, obviously not. And it makes me wonder why year after year, decade after decade, we continue to pour all these resources into what we all know, even the average person on the street, is an ineffective solution. I don't personally want to advocate legalization or anything else. This isn't a soapbox. This is an attempt to tell people what's going on in their community. But I would advise others to take some serious thought on whether or not the current solution is a waste of time and money. Because there is some real suffering going on out there on behalf of some women who are being forced into the industry and some women who are just being forced into it by monetary and social necessity.
That's it for this episode of TrueRVA.
Join us next week where we discuss predatory tow companies and the local metal scene.
Thanks for checking us out. Remember to subscribe and give us the thumbs up.